Hello and welcome to EduBlush Visual Academy. In this video, I'm going to be doing topic 5 from term 1 of grade 5 mathematics, which is from the Platinum Mathematics book. So we're going to be dealing with multiplication. Firstly, I'd like to emphasize, if it's to the parents or the learners, that mathematics is a build-up. You continue to build from everything that you know onwards. So try to know the terms, try to know the terminology, try to understand and try to use them. After you have understand what we talk about, try to use them as many often as you can. Now with that, let's jump into our work of today. Now, as we said, we're going to be dealing with the multiplication, but our major thing in this topic is factors and multiples. So the first thing that you need to do as we're going to be talking about factors and multiples is to ask yourself, what are the factors and what are the multiples? And what is a factor or what is a multiple? It's good, it's needed that you know this. Once you know this, you'll be able to apply this. Now, a factor is a number. A factor of a number is a number that divides exactly in that number. So when you say a factor of 6 is a number that will divide exactly into 6. So a factor, it cannot be just a factor alone, it's a factor of a number. That is one of the things that you need to start with, is a factor of a number. You cannot just have a factor. It's like you can't just have a friend. It's like you have a friend. Who is your friend? Is your friend of somebody? So you are a friend of Tabiso. You are a friend of Tabelo. You are a friend of Cariso. You are not just a friend. So like a factor, it cannot just be a factor. It's a factor of a number. Now, having said that, maybe we should take up an example so that maybe we make it exactly to understand. Repeat that again. A factor of a number is a number that divides exactly in that number. Now here we have a number 12. Let's divide 12 by 4. What do we get? Exactly 3. So with this, it means 4 is a factor of 12. Because when we divide 12 by 4, we get exactly 3. Now let's look at another way. If we divide 12 by 3, we get exactly 4. So which means 3 is a factor of 12. And 4 is also a factor of 12. That's what the factor means. Now let's look at a multiple. A multiple is a number that you get when you multiply two numbers. Now if you multiply two numbers and we get one number, that number is a multiple. Let's look at this one here. 4 multiplied by 3 equals to 12. Here we multiply two numbers, 4 and 3, we get 12. Now, by our definition here, it means 12 is a multiple. So 12 is a multiple of what? Just like a factor, it cannot just be a multiple, it's a multiple of something. So 12 is a multiple of 3 in this instant. And 12 is a multiple of 4 again in this instant. So 12 could also be a multiple of another number. But in this example, 12 is a multiple of 3. And 12 is also a multiple of 4. Now let's take a little example for other extra examples. Here I have factor 1 here, 3. And I have another factor here, 2, which is 5. And I have a multiple, which is 15. So now we said that a factor of a number is a number that divides exactly in that number. So now 5 If we divide 5 into 15 and we get exactly one number, which is 3, it means 5 is a factor of 15. If we divide 15 by 3 and gets exactly 5, so it means 3 is a factor of 15. So 3 and 5 are the factors of 15. Now, in the second explanation of multiples, we said if two numbers are multiplied, the number we get is a multiple. So if you take 3 multiplied by 5, you get 15. It means 15 is a multiple. So 15 is a multiple of 5 and 15 is a multiple of 3. What does that mean? Furthermore, it means if we take the multiples of 5, 15 is going to be part of that group. Now let's do the multiples of 5. 5, 10, 15. So we got 15 in that multiples of 5. So 5 and 15 is a multiple of 15 of 5. Sorry. Now let's try to take the multiple of 3 and see if 15 is the multiple of 3. Now count with me. Let's go here. 3, 6, 9, 12, 15, 18. Okay. Now we have seen that 15 is part of this list, which are the multiples of 3. When you do these multiples of 3, we find 15 to be part of it. So 15 is a multiple of 3, just as 12 is also a multiple of 3, and 6, and 9, and 18, and so on and so on. So now also here, we have 2 multiplied by 35, which is 70. Now, when you multiply these two numbers, 2 and 35, the answer we get is a multiple. It's a multiple of what? Of these two numbers. 70 is a multiple of 35, and 70 is also a multiple of 2. It means if we take the multiples of 35, 70 is going to be part of those. 35, 70, 105, so on and so on. You can also go 2, 4, 6, 70 is going to be part of those. That's what the multiple means. That's what the factors means. So these numbers in here, this is a factor 1, this is a factor 2. If when you multiply them, we get a multiple. I think that's a little bit more easy and more understandable. Now, with that you understand what the multiples are and what the factors are, let's take up a little exercise here, exercise 5.1, which is from the book Gr5 Platinum, and see how we can use our knowledge so far. Now the question says, write down the first 5 multiples of 7. You have two numbers here. You have to be careful. What is it that you're going to be doing? 5 and 7. We're looking for multiples of 7, not 5. But those multiples must be 5 of them. Now let's start doing the multiples of 7 and make 5 of them. 7, 14, 21, 28, 35. We have done 5 multiples of 7 as we see them here. Now that's how you'll answer question 1, number A here. So far so good. Now let's do number B. What are the multiples of 5 between 61 and 69? Just like we did the first one, I suggest you do all the multiples of 5 until you pass 69. Excuse me. Now, let's see, 5, 10, 15, so on and so on. I'll jump to 50, 55, 60, 65, 70. All right. Now, but I don't see 61 and 69. The reason is 61 is not a multiple of 5, and also 69 is not a multiple of 5. Now, for you to get this, if you are still lost a little bit, sorry, I suggest that you remember that in a normal number line, between 60 and 65, there will be numbers here. So add them, because from 60 to 65, we also have 61, 62, 63, and 64. And from 65 to 70, we also have the numbers here, which is 66, 67, 68, 69. Now you can cater 61 and 69, even though 61, as you can see, I didn't put it in golden numbers. It is not a multiple of 5. And 69 is also not a multiple of 5. But the question here, number B, say, what are the multiples of 5 between 61 and 69? Which means between here and here. Now, what are the golden numbers we find? We only find 65 here, and it's only one number, and it's 65. So you don't have to look at this and immediately start taking 61 as your starting point and add 5 and say 66, and so on and so on. You're going to get it wrong. Now, this one is answered perfectly. You can see using this kind of method, you will be able to get answers right. You can use this method while you are practicing. Once you get used to it, you'll look at the question and you'll know the answer. But when you don't understand it now, try to practice and use this method as many times as you can. Do it again and again. With that done, let's go to number 2. Write down all the factors of each number. Write down all the factors of each number. Before you do anything, you must ask yourself, so what is a factor? A factor of a number is a number that divides in that number exactly. Cool. Now that we understand that, let's look at number A. Number A is 10. What are the factors of 10? Now you remember in a factor, we have to divide into 10 with a number that will give us exactly another number with no commas, no remainders. If it gives us that number is not a factor. Now let's start with 1. 10 divided by 1 is equals to 10. So it means 1 is a factor of 10 because it divides exactly into 10 and give us 10. So our first factor there is 1. Now we also are aware that when we divide 10 by 1, we got 10. So also means 10 is a factor of 10. Of course, you can check that by dividing 10 by 10, we get exactly 1, which means 10 is another factor. Now let's go on and check 2. What is 10 divided by 2? The answer is 5. Now, it means when you divide 10 by 2, we get exactly 5. So it means 2 is another factor. So now we realize that when you divide 10 by 2, we got 5. So what that means, it means 5 is also a factor. We can check that by dividing 10 by 5. So 10 divided by 5 is 2. So 5 give us exactly 2 when you divide it into 10. So it means 5 is another factor. So far, so good. Now let's look at number B. What are the factors of 25? We start with 1 again. 25 divided by 1 is equals to 25. So when you divide 25 by 1, we get exactly 25, which means 1 is a factor of 25 because it divides exactly into 25. So 1 is there. Now when you divide, we got 25. So it means 25 is also a factor of 25. because 25 divided by 25 is equals to 1, which means 25 divided exactly into 25. That's another factor. We put it there. Now, let's look at that. 2, it does not divide in 25. 3, no. And 4, no. 5, yes. 5 divided 25 divided by 5, you get 5. So now 5 is a factor of 25 because it divides exactly into 25 and give us 5. Now we put the 5 there as another factor. Now, even though the answer when you divide 25 by 5 is another 5, you cannot say 5 is another list of 5 then and put another 5 here because you already have 5. Now, that is the way it is here. Now, I'm going to leave you with C, D, and E for you to answer. You can pause the video, answer them on your booklet, on your piece of paper, and check and verify that you got them right. Now, when you are done with it, you'll join me as we continue and do number 3. Number 3 said, write down 2 factor pairs for each number. You might immediately jump and say, oh, we have done it before because of number 2. We have done factors, so I'm going to do factors and start doing again the same way and do factors. You will end up getting it wrong. You must look at this one, say factor pairs. In number 2, we were just writing each factor and each factor. This time we write factor pairs. Okay. Now, but the method is the same way. Let's start with 1. So now 6 divided by 1 is equal to 6. So now what you get? It means 1 divided into 6 exactly and give us 6. So it means 1 times 6 is equal to 6. So 1 and 6 are a pair factor of 6. Can you get another one? Let's try 2. 6 divided by 2 is equal to 3. So 2 divided into 6 exactly and give us 3. So it means 2 and 3 are the factors of 6. You can check that by multiplying 2 multiplied by 3 and you get it is 6. So as you remember, a multiple is what you get when you multiply 2 numbers. So 2 multiplied by 3 give us 6. So 2 and 3 are the factors of 6. Any more factors? 4 does not, 5 does not. So it means those are the 2 factor pairs. Now let's move on and do 12. Find 2 factor pairs for each number. Now, we start again with 1. 12 divided by 1 is equals to 12. So it means 1 multiplied by 12 is equals to 12, which means 1 and 2 and 12 are the factor of 12. And these are the pairs. They are the pairs because if you multiply 1 by 12, give us that. Now we need another one because they say 2. So don't write 1. Say I have this. This is 1. 1 and 12 is 1 pair. We need another pair to complete. Now let's check. 2, yes, 12 divided by 2 give us 6. So it means 6 and 2 are the factors of 12. And 2 multiplied by 6 is equal to 12. So 2 and 6 are the pair factor of 12. Just for the sake, let's see if we can get more others. But this time you got all the answers that we needed for number 3. Let's check out 3. 12 divided by 3 equals to 4. So now 3 multiplied by 4 equals to 12. That means 3 and 4 are the other factor of 12. We have just done more extra. 5 does not divide into 12. 6, we have got it here. So it means these three factors are the only pair factors of 12. But in our question, they wanted two pairs. So you won't be penalized to put more. It just means you understand what you're doing. But you need to understand the question and follow it through. I'm going to leave it here, and I'm going to allow you to do C, D, and E and do more practice. And remember, practice, practice, and practice. Now, as I've mentioned that in mathematics is a build up. Everything you do, you build up, you build the bricks so that you use the bricks to build the house. So if you don't know how to build the bricks, you'll have a difficulty to build a house. So now that you have learned how to get factors of numbers, can we use the factors to multiply? Let's see how. Here is an example. Let's do integers. You can work it out, but it will be simple if you can use factors. Now, how do you get the factors? Remember, the first step here is to break one number into factors. So here you're going to break down 20 into factors. How do you get the factors? You remember how we did that. So you cannot use 1 and 20 as factors because you'll be still having the same thing. Now you can look at easier and simple one. Let's try 2. What is 20 divided by 2? Is 10. So it means 2 and 10 are the factors of 20. Now it means we can use 2 multiplied by 10 instead of 20. Now that you get the factors of 20, let's substitute those factors instead of the number. Now 24 multiplied by 2 multiplied by 10 is the same as 24 multiplied by 20. Now what is the answer from there? It will be simple because of the factors. Now it's simple now to see 24 multiplied by 2, which is a simple 48. Then all what you need is to multiply 48 by 10. Now when you multiply 48 by 10, we get 480. Here, the simplicity is that if it's a real number, 48, no commas, you just take the 0 and plug it in the front of this. You can use this, is a very, very useful trick. But then you can also know that when you multiply any number by this, you add the 0 at the end. Now let's take one more example. 42 times 20. What do we do? The same thing. First step, break down one of the numbers into factors. Here simple. Let's break down the 20 into factors. We have done the factors of 20 here. Now we're just going to have to use the two fact the same factor again. Use 2 multiplied by 10 instead of 20. Now it means you're going to get 42 multiplied by 2 multiplied by 10 instead of 20. Now that you get that, you will simply see that 42 multiplied by 2 will be 84. Now, simple again, 84 times 10 will be 840. Just plug the 0 in front of the number. Now, can you take more example? I think so. Now, let's look at 32 times 30. Now, what would be the easy one to take the factors here is the 30. What would be the factors of 30? Let's continue following step 1 there is to break down this 30 into factors. Now, what will be the factors of 30? 3 and 10. You're looking at this 10 because it's easier to multiply numbers by 10. So the only struggle will be to multiply that number by 3. Now, how do you do that? Now we're going to replace this 30 by 3 multiplied by 10. Now you have 32 multiplied by 3 multiplied by 10. Now from here, it's just to work out 32 multiplied by 3, which is simply give you 30 multiplied by 3, which is 90. 2 multiplied by 3, which is 6, and then you have 96. And from there, it's just 96 multiplied by 10, which we remember how to simply do it. Just plug the 0 to the number 96, and you get 960. Voila. That's how you can use the factors to do multiplications. Now, if you've seen this, it means you can go back again and redo the factors and multiples until you know them, just as you know your friends. Just remember, a factor of a number is a number that divides into that number exactly. That will be the end today for factors and multiples. And we'll see you again next time in our next video when we'll be doing multiply two-digit numbers. That will still be on topic 5 of the grade 5 term 1. We are using the Platinum Mathematics books of CAPS. And with that, I think from that, if you didn't understand it, just repeat the video again and again until you understand it. Get more other examples from your book and practice. As you know, that's what maths need. Practice, practice, and practice. I hope to see you again in the next video where we'll be doing more of this topic 5, multiplication, and more others to follow. As for now, I thank you and bye-bye.